Hey there, it's Seb Frey here with another exciting episode of It's a Seb Show. Well, man, what is that smell? Can you smell it? Probably not, because they haven't yet invented smell-o-vision, and maybe that's a good thing, I don't know. But listen, today I want to talk about the way a house smells. I don't think I've talked about this yet on It's a Seb Show, but odor or smell or fragrance or aroma or whatever you want to call it is something that we deal with a lot in home sales, but a lot of people don't really think about it too much. But yet, it is very, very important to think about the way your home smells. And the reason for that is because smell is one of the most powerful, in fact, probably the most powerful sense that you have when it comes to feelings and memory. So the way something smells will trigger a certain feeling and bring you back certain memories more strongly and powerfully than any other sense that we have. And this is very important if that is not a positive association, because the way that you feel when you enter a home is very much tied to how much you are going to like the home, because buying a home is really all about how the home makes you feel. And if you don't feel good about a home, you're probably not going to buy it, or you're going to pay a lot less for it than you would if you felt good about the home. So I'm going to share with you a couple of anecdotes that happened to me in the last couple of weeks or so. Out there showing some property, trying to find some homes for some buyers. And, buyer A, we go into this house, and it had a weird smell. I don't even know what the smell was, but it was kind of like a cloying smell, right? Like it was kind of like a heavy smell. It didn't necessarily, it wasn't necessarily a bad smell, but it wasn't a good smell either. And it just kind of made the buyers feel a little bit uncomfortable in the house. Like maybe there was something that they were trying to cover up with that smell, whatever that smell was, unknown, but it just made the buyers feel uncomfortable. And they came up with some rational reasons why the house wasn't right for them, but actually, on paper, it was a darn good property for them. And I'm pretty sure that a large part of the reason they decided not to move forward with an offer on that particular house was because of the way the house smelled. It just didn't give them that warm and fuzzy feeling they wanted to associate with their future home. Okay, so next happened just this past weekend. I was showing another house to another couple of people, and that house had a weird smell too. It kind of smelled like a gym locker or something. Really hard. Couldn't quite put your finger on what that smell was either, but it wasn't a pleasant smell. And throughout the home showing, we came back time and time again to like, what is that smell? What is that smell? We weren't really thinking about the house. We were trying to figure out what that not really nice smell was. And ironically enough, that actually was a pretty nice house. I mean, the floor plan was good, location was good, backyard was very good, which these days, COVID, when everyone is spending so much time at home and in their backyards, a good sized backyard is something pretty important to a lot of people. But we just kept on coming back to the way the house smelled, and it just put off the buyers. Now, this is really important. If you're going to be selling your house and your house has any kind of a smell, you really want to deal with it and get rid of that smell. Now, I'm not saying that you should cover up the smell. I'm saying you should get rid of the smell, right? Just whatever it is that is giving off that smell, you need to figure out what it is and get rid of it to the greatest extent possible. Now, one smell that people frequently talk about is a musty smell, right? A musty smell is another way of saying it smells like mold, right? So if there's a musty smell in your home, you may have mold. And my advice is not to leave it up to chance and let a buyer find that in their inspection. I would say get ahead of that one and bring in a mold inspector and see if the house actually does have mold. And if there is, you want to clear up that problem before you put the property on the market. Okay, so next thing people oftentimes note is a dog smell or a cat smell or cat urine, and also cigarette smoke. That's a very common one as well. All of these things can be mitigated. A lot of the times it has to do with actually ripping out carpeting. You'll find out that carpeting oftentimes traps a lot of these odors. Also, drapery will have that, right? So you can remove the drapery. Also, furniture. If you have a lot of furniture that's been around there for a while, furniture can absorb those smells as well. So you want to get rid of all those kind of fabricy things out of your house that may be trapping that smell. Now, once you've removed all that stuff and there is still a smell, there are some other things you can do. One great one is to bring in an ozone generator, right? So you can bring in a huge ozone, well, not that big, but you know, they're not the little tiny small ones that you might put on your desk, you know, but sort of like a whole house ozone generator. You bring that in, you close up all the windows and doors, and let that run in your house for maybe 2 or 3 days, and that will kill a lot of the smell. If the smell hasn't gone away after you do that, of course, then it's time to use like an odor blocking primer and paint. And listen, if you're going to be selling your house, repainting it is one of the biggest things you can do to add value, especially if there is some kind of odor issue. So listen, you need to pay really careful attention to what your home smells. You don't want it to smell like Febreze necessarily, right? You don't want it to smell like potpourri or incense. You don't want to get the feeling that any odors are being blocked, but you do want it to smell fresh and clean. And so painting, actually, ironically enough, if you use like a low VOC paint, that actually can give the buyer the feeling that the house is new, that new house smell, which again, buyers know what a new house smells like. A lot of them do anyway. And they attribute that with a house that is in good condition. They view that as a quality home that isn't likely to need a lot of upkeep over the years. So listen, that's one thing I want you to pay very close attention to if you are selling your home, is what that home smells like. It wants to smell clean and fresh and new. And if your home smells clean and fresh and new, that's going to bring that sort of emotion and an excitement to the buyer of a clean, fresh, new house. And who doesn't like that? The answer is nobody doesn't like that. Everybody likes a clean, fresh, and new house. Well, except for like a home flipper. They don't like that. They want like a dirty, rundown house they can turn around and make a bunch of money on, right? But the average consumer, the retail buyer, is going to pay the most money for your house. They want a clean, fresh, and new house. So do yourself a favor and make your house smell that way before you put it on the market. All right, that is it for this episode of It's a Seb Show. I hope you have enjoyed watching this. And if you know anybody with a smelly house and they're thinking about putting it on the market, do them a favor and share this episode with them. They will thank you for it. Trust me, the smell is very, very important and is oftentimes overlooked. All right, listen, do me a favor. Would you give me a comment here? That would be awesome. Or a thumbs up. I would love that. Or even, man, a share. If you would share this with somebody that you know who is thinking about selling their house, I would really appreciate it. All right, well, that is it for this episode of It's a Seb Show. Thank you so much for watching, but don't worry. I will have another episode up again before too long.